Guys, welcome back to the channel. Michael is joining me once again to talk about the Asian countries with the brightest futures. Down below in the comments, let me know one country that you think has a bright future and why, and bonus points if you go for a hotter take. If you guys like videos about Asian football, make sure you're subscribed to my channel, DeadBall TV, but also Michael Talks Football. Links to everything will be in the description of the video. Let's start from 5 and go up, because maybe one will be similar. I don't know. Just have a feeling. But Michael, you said you didn't understand the assignment potentially. I think that's glorious. So why don't you go ahead and give us number 5, and we'll see if we're on the same kind of mindset with this. And I would love to know your
Okay.
criteria as well.
So, because you basically said which teams have the brightest futures. Now, there's many ways you can attack this. You could go for a team like Malaysia, who are basically recruiting new players, where they're from a Colombian town and they never knew they were Malaysian until yesterday. Or you could go for more of the youth setup and seeing, okay, which teams have done very well in the youth U20 Asian Cup, U17 Asian Cup, who has performed well in the World Cup. And then you look at the national team, maybe average age of the team. So that's how I kind of approached it. I didn't look at teams like Malaysia. I was looking at teams like Palestine, who have a lot of young players, and I think they're going to really develop into good players. My number 5 is Saudi Arabia. I don't
Ooh,
know if that's a shocking pick to you, but I look at
no.
Saudi Arabia and they still got good players. They performed well at the U20 Asian Cup. Yes, they didn't play the greatest style of football. I remember I was watching the game against China in the quarterfinal. I was like, how did China not win this game? But I look at some of their players and you look at where the Saudi players are going. A lot of them have been playing recently in Belgium. And they got this 17-year-old kid. I think his name is Haji. If I remember watching him in the U20 Asian Cup, I was like, oh, this guy's only 17. Hey, there's a bright future for Saudi Arabia. And look, Saudi Arabia still have a very good league. Yes, it's now heavily dominated by Europeans and South Americans or Africans who have obviously come with the money, but they have a good league. And it's only going to get better and better. And we saw what Al Hilal did at the Club World Cup. I feel like Saudi Arabia still have a bright future ahead of them. And I look at the young players they got, I still rate a lot of their young players highly.
Interesting. I don't fault you at all for putting Saudi Arabia. I had them as my honorable mention. I think the one problem for the Saudis is mainly cultural stuff, in the sense that getting them to leave is really, really difficult because they're so well compensated that you're talking about sacrificing potentially like 80% of your wages to go to Belgium, be a bench warmer, and maybe if you're good enough, you'll be the starter in 2 years and you end your prime in Ligue 1. Like, that's probably going to be the pathway for Saudi players, at least for like 10, 15, 20 players before they start breaking out into Germany, into England, La Liga. I think there are Saudi players who could play in La Liga right now. Saud Abdulhamid. He could definitely play for a La Liga team right now, but they have no proof of concept. And I think the proof of concept is largely self-inflicted. I just think they're too comfortable inside the Saudi league to leave. So I think there's going to be a hard cap and a hard ceiling for the Saudis. But I think their floor is very high because of what you talked about. We're all fans of Asian football. Maybe you're not. Hit subscribe. But if you are a fan of Asian football, you know the Saudis are dogs at the youth level. They are extremely
Monsters.
tough, monsters to beat. They are genetically, I think, a kind of like a larger people. They tend to be more athletic than a lot of their opponents at the youth level. Very strong academies, very strong technical ability. The problem is their players seem to turn like 20, 21, and then they just flatline.
Mm.
That's the thing for the Saudis. And so, I don't know. Do you think that we'll see enough player movement to Europe that
I
the
think we're
Saudis will
seeing that
be able
right
to reach
now.
the next level?
I think we're seeing that right now. A lot of them are doing like one season loans to Belgium. Oh, there was that one player that went to Dunkirk in the second division of France. I can't remember his name now. So you're seeing these players, they're going out on loan for a season, getting the European experience, and then bringing it to the Saudi Pro League. So I think the Saudis are kind of bringing a different approach on how to develop their young talents, which is really good because clearly they can't just keep them in the Saudi teams because they're not getting enough opportunities. They need playing time. So let's test them. Let's see if they can perform well in the Belgium league, in the French second division. I think that's a really smart approach from them. And I think they have one player. I think he's playing in Austria, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember which club it is, but you're starting to see the Saudi players are doing this. So I think they've learned their lesson of, okay, we can't just keep them in Al Hilal, Al Nasir, Al Ali. They're not going to get playing time. You look at the players they have at their disposal. I mean, you're not going to bench Ronaldo. You're not going to bench a Brozovic or these sort of players. So send them to Europe, get the experience, and look what they've done. They made it to the U17 Asian Cup final and the U20 Asian Cup final this year. They got talent. I still think they got a really bright future, and they just need to nurture the talent.
Yeah, ton of talent. And when I was making this list, I put a lot of emphasis, much more emphasis on player development versus naturalization, which is what Malaysia's doing. It's what Indonesia does. It's what the UAE does. So I still awarded points if teams like Indonesia have started down this intense naturalization cycle, but the Saudis don't naturalize anybody. They're all Saudis, and they are technically very strong. So I do think the Saudis, I kind of went with a hotter take at number 5 because you know me, welcome to the channel. So, but I did have them as an honorable mention. Yeah, these guys at the youth level, even the senior team, they're down bad right now. But what did you and I talk about in the other video? They're still hard to beat. It's still tough. People aren't stomping Saudi Arabia. Like, they're still annoying. It's going to be a battle. So I don't know how much they'll fall. Like, this is a fascinating topic we could have maybe now or another time. But if I'm looking at like Saudi versus Iran, and I'm predicting which one of these giants will fall further, I think it's Iran hands down.
Yes.
Like,
agreed.
Hands down.
Once this golden
Did Iran make your top 5?
No.
Yeah, they weren't in mine either.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely
sorry, Iran.
not.
Sorry, Iranians, but I cannot put you guys in the top 5 of future teams. You have a golden generation right now. Once that generation is away, boy, oh boy, Iran are in trouble.
I'm going to throw these at you very quick. This was not part of the assignment at all. But I don't know. The caffeine was going strong this morning. I was thinking about teams that had like the worst futures. Okay. And I had Iran in that list. And I think part of that is unfortunately not related to football. I don't see political tensions leaving in Iran ever. Like, at least not for decades. It's just so unlikely because of, relations with the United States and the West. And that hurts Iran as a team. Seriously. It hurts the entire economy. It hurts player development. I think that's going to be something that, like, I don't know if they can overcome despite being a very large country inside of Asia. And I do think we're seeing now the oldest team. Were they the oldest team at the last World Cup?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think they were the oldest team. Or one of the oldest, at least.
Top three oldest at the last Asian Cup. They are seriously riding on the coattails of this generation. Now, I think they have some good young players coming up, especially in the attack and in the goalkeeper. Baron Vaughn should be replaced now, if you're asking me. But I just wonder in terms of like player movement, in terms of like getting out of Iran. For all these countries, get out, try to go to Europe, go to more competitive leagues, even like MLS or something, and try to improve the quality of the player. I think that's going to be really hard for Iran. I put all of Southeast Asia on here.
I was going to say another team that has a very, very dark future. Qatar.
Oh, drop it.
When Akram Afif, I just checked his age. He's 28. When he retires, curtains. It's done. They're going to be back to what they were in the early 2000s when I was growing up, and it was like, what is the Qatar national team? Since 2017, 2019. Yeah, that's now the Qatar that we know. But before then, they were nobodies. Yes, they would qualify to the Asian Cup, but they would do nothing at the tournament. I feel like Qatar, when Akram Afif retires, they will regress very heavily. So I think Qatar and Iran are in the same boat right now. They both have very good generations. When that generation goes away, they fall off. You know what they're going to be? Exactly like Chile. They're going to try and hold on to these players, and then they realize, oh, we need to actually turn it around and go with the young players. When it's too late, your whole system has broken down.
Is Iran the Chile of Asia?
Yes.
God, that's a great comparison. That's a phenomenal comparison. Smash the like button. The one hope for Qatar, and why I had them and then I deleted them from the list of worst. Maybe it's because I like Afif too much. I think the Spire Academy is legit, and I think they will develop another stud. I think it's one of the best academies in all of Asia. And so it's just numbers-wise, Will he be a thief? Qatar are praying so. But I think they'll get enough to like not have a bright future, but they won't be like another team I have here, Bahrain. Bahrain's an old team. They have very few diaspora citizens to call upon. They haven't started any naturalization. Their youth teams do F all. They do F all at competitions. They don't make the World Cup. They're not pouring as much money into football as other nearby Middle Eastern and West Asian teams are. I see no hope for Bahrain. Like, I just think they're cooks, bro.
Yeah.
And then
Agreed.
Southeast Asia, where I feel like the main problem for Southeast Asia is just the corruption is insane. And Southeast Asia, while I think teams like Thailand have potential, you let me know. I'm shocked how few Thai, Malaysian, Indonesian players even go to like the J League and cook, or go to the K League and cook. They don't go. And when they do, they're like bench players.
Yeah. Yeah, it's shocking to me. I really think, but the Japanese league is the second best league in Asia. So going from the Thai league, going from the Indonesian league, going from the Malaysian league, the jump is massive. So you're going to have to be an unbelievable player to withstand a chance of getting minutes. And obviously they're going to look down at they're going to look down at a player on Southeast Asia. They're going to be like, okay, you come here,
Yes.
you have to prove yourself. If they can't prove themselves, they're just going to sit on the bench. And the Japanese clubs might not care about it because they're like, okay, I don't know how much a transfer fee would be, so it wouldn't affect the Japanese clubs that much compared to if a Japanese club signed a Brazilian player from the Brazilian league. That's a heavy investment. They know they got to give that player a lot of minutes. So the Southeast Asian teams, I feel like a lot of them, none of them have a bright future. The only one is Indonesia. But like Malaysia, it's like, you just called up a bunch of South Americans. I'm sorry. Respect to you guys for wanting to be a good national team, but I cannot go with that process. I'm sorry. I just cannot be behind it. I know Malaysians absolutely love football and adore it. Like, they stay up late to watch Premier League games, but I want it to be a little bit more of a natural reason of you being a good national team, not just calling up a random Argentinian guy who's like, what the heck is the capital of Malaysia?
Yeah. No, it's embarrassing. Like, I think
I'm
I
sorry.
talked about this. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing, and this is not what international football is about. It's not about just gaming the system to try to win. That's kind of what club football is for. If you want to recruit whoever you want, get interested in club football. Like, support Real Madrid. I don't know what to tell you. Like, but to turn the Malaysian national team into that, where their youth teams also are not very good. I mean, they do have a couple gems who've come up recently. Oh my gosh, Faisal Halim, is that his name?
Halim. Oh my God, what's the forward? Why am I forgetting the name of the forward?
Yeah, he's
From
playing.
Johor.
He cooked in the AFC League too. Arif Ayman?
There we go. Arif Ayman.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. Is it Arif Ayman? Am I
Oh
Okay.
my God, we're having a meltdown here, guys.
This is crazy. I think it's Arif Ayman.
Arif Ayman. Yes,
not-
there we go. I know it was
Okay.
for Johor.
Woo! Thank God. All right, saved face on that
Ball
one.
knowledge is saved, people. Don't worry.
Ball knowledge is saved. Smash the like button. You don't have to unsubscribe. They do have like the occasional player like that, but it's not at the volume that they need to really level up. And I think Southeast Asian footballers get zero respect, like zero clout,
Zero.
even inside Asia.
Yep, agreed.
It's true. Who
Yeah, it's
who
true.
was oh god, another Thai named Sufanat Mayenta, the attacking midfielder
Mayenta,
they
yeah,
had that was like,
who went to Belgium.
yeah, didn't play and now he's back.
There was the Vietnamese guy who went to the French second division.
Quang Hai
Quang Hai. Didn't work out.
barely played at all for like Paris FC or something. It was
Yeah,
like
Paris or
I never
Pau
heard
or
of the
something
team.
like that.
Pow, yes,
Pow.
great memory. Okay, we're putting together the puzzle pieces here slowly, but I'm surprised, like Super Chai or Super Chalk. I call them the Super Bros for Thailand. I'm surprised these guys aren't in Japan right now getting 15 goals or 5 goals, 5 assists per season. They seem like they just get stuck in Thailand, getting good numbers. But it's not enough. There's the other guy for Singapore, Iksan Fandi, the Fandi Bros. One of them, I think it's Iksan. Beast, man. Like, he's scoring like 25 goals a season. He can't get out of Singapore? Are you serious? Nobody in Korea was like, you know what? Instead of buying a washed player from the Czech Republic or Kosovo. Why don't we just get this guy in for like 300 grand? He's 25. You know what I'm saying? Like, to get to Europe, that's the ultimate test.
Of course.
But before you get to Europe, Michael, you have to be good inside Asia. And the Southeast players aren't even good yet in mass inside Asia. They're not even at the dominant clubs in the AFC. That's the problem. Yep. They're so far away.
Oh, 100%. When you see like a couple players maybe go like to the Saudi league or go to the UAE league and they start balling out, I think that's then a good metric of saying, okay, there's something to build upon. But that hasn't even happened yet. That's a big problem, I think, for the Southeast Asian teams. And now they're just trying to cheat. Malaysia are trying to cheat. Indonesia are trying to cheat. Hey, if you want to cheat, go ahead and have all the naturalized players. That's your choice. I'm not going to, befuddle you. But for me, I'm not going to go with that route. I feel like they just need a bit more respect, but also the players need to perform. When you get a chance like Maite going to Belgium, you have to perform. Obviously, the jump is massive, but you're a talented player. I just think it's the environment, and you know what? They don't have the confidence when they go away to Europe as well. They just don't have that confidence or that sort of belief that we should be here. We can perform. There's something mentally missing as well.
They have zero success stories.
I'm just trying to get into my memory bank.
Dig deep, dude. Take some time. You're going to have to go to like the X-Files in your brain.
I'm trying. I don't think there's any.
Maybe there was like in the 60s, right?
Yeah, but I'm a football knowledge guy, but not that much, bro.
Yeah, no, and guess what? The Malaysian footballers who are 25 years old, they don't know those guys either. So like, there's been nobody recently for them to be like, from the club perspective, to be like, yes, we bought Supachak and he cooked. Let's get another Thai player in here for pennies. And the Thai players don't have anybody to look at and say like, oh, remember Mainsa went to Belgium and he was awesome. I just checked. He's back at Buriram United, who seem to have all the good players in Thailand. And look, he's got 9 goals, 5 assists in 12 games to start this season. That's great. Nobody cares. You have to get out. You got to leave the Thai league.
He's got to go to the J League and perform.
He had an offer, I think, but then it fell through for some reason to go to the J League. That has to happen first. What about Indonesia? Because they're kind of like a special circumstance. I know we're having like a Southeast Asian talk. I might upload this as a separate vid. But do you think Indonesia's future is bright?
Yes, I would say it's bright.
Do you think it will push them into top 10 in Asia?
Oh, top 10? Over time, I would say yes. Because then I think other teams will regress. I think over time, Jordan will regress. I think Iran will regress. I think Qatar will regress. Bahrain, Oman. So you kind of look at those teams that are kind of like in the buffer zone of getting into the top 10 or already in the top 10. I think Indonesia are going to keep doing it this way. They will naturalize the players, and that's how they're going to do it. Now, I'm not in favor of it, but Indonesia want to go down this route, and they got quality players, though, and a lot of them are young. Like Marcelino, Romney, Itzes, Verdonk, I think, is quite young. Martin Pais, I think he's like 27, 28. So they have a lot of young players. He's pretty old, if I'm not mistaken. So
29, maybe.
29, yeah. So they have some old players, but a lot of their team is young. And they're getting better and better. And over time, especially at that next Asian Cup, I think there should be some objectivity for Indonesia. And I think, like we talked about in the other video, I think the whole process is for the 2030 World Cup. And if Indonesia qualified then, other Dutch guys are going to be like, hey, do I got some Indonesian blood? Let's go play for the Indonesian national team. I think this is the way forward for Indonesia. And they still got to bolster their league, though. You have to have some players that are actually born in Indonesia just to have that sort of national team identity and also that grittiness you need when the going gets tough. But I think Indonesia have the brightest future of any Southeast Asian team. I think if I had to do a ranking, Indonesia 1.
Oh, God, this is diabolical.
Malaysia 2. Thailand 3. Vietnam 4. And then I'm gonna go with just the top 6 because Cambodia and Laos, they're just gonna be awful forever. I'm gonna go 5 Philippines, 6 Singapore.
I think I largely agree with that ranking. Philippines might actually be a little bit higher if they start going heavy on the recruiting. Yeah, they could overtake Vietnam. I think they're
starting to do the recruiting too. I've seen a bunch of Finnish guys go there.
That's the thing with Thailand is they haven't done that at all yet.
Mm-mm.
And so I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a certain respect for Thailand, like
Oh,
developing all these
I have
players.
the biggest respect. Even though I call them the pygmy elephants, I respect the war elephants highly because they're still doing it the right way, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. And Indonesia, it's interesting because if they don't qualify this time or Project 2030, I think they're going to struggle to get the Dutch guys in here.
Mm-hmm. Yep, agreed. But do you think they
There's
have the
so
brightest
much riding
future
this.
of any Southeast Asian team?
Yeah, but before the recruitment, the answer was no.
No.
But now, yes. You know
So
what? You even
before,
said Malaysia too. I would still put Thailand above them. I need
okay,
this Malaysia project is far from like anything good.
yeah, but
I
I'm
mean,
just going by clearly what I just saw quality wise and what I saw
yeah.
when they absolutely dunked on Vietnam. I'm like, oh Jesus, Malaysia
Yeah.
might be back.
At least at the youth level, like Thailand are still going to these tournaments. They never really
And
do
Indonesia
anything, but like, yeah, and Indonesia
and Vietnam.
and Vietnam. Yeah, Malaysia and the Philippines sometimes they don't even qualify
Nope.
like on a quite regular basis.
I,
So yeah, there's a
I
lot
can't
of
remember when is the last time I've seen Philippines in like the youth teams. I can't remember.
oh,
I know Malaysia.
youth
Malaysia
AFF.
have been a
That's
couple of
probably
times
it.
in the last couple of years, but Philippines, I've never seen them. If I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. We're at the start of something with Indonesia, so it's very tough to say
Mm.
if this is sustainable or not. Because even youth level, like they qualified for one Olympics,
No, they
but
didn't qualify to the
outside,
Olympics.
oh,
They
they finished
lost to
fourth.
they lost to Guinea in the playoff.
That's right. That's right. And Shin Tae-yong was still the manager in that game. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay. But they did make the semifinal. Right. They went to the playoff. That's their only semifinal of any Youth Asian Cups this decade. Or sorry,
That's pretty.
this century.
But that's pretty good for a Southeast Asian team. That's amazing.
It's good, but it's still not enough for me to be like, oh my God, they're going to be at Japan level or they're going to overtake. I mean, even overtaking the Saudis would be mind boggling for Indonesia to do. I can't see that. They're so far behind.
So before the
But-
recruitment, did you have it at Thailand 1, Vietnam 2, and then like Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore? Was that your ranking before all the recruitment?
Yeah, pretty much. Thailand was one.
Yep.
Vietnam,
And Vietnam
two as
were
well.
certified 2.
Correct. And then it was a toss up, Malaysia and Indonesia, because they had Arif Aiman, Malaysia, and Indonesia had Marcelino. So it was like, even that was kind of a fun battle to see.
It's just crazy because since the 2022 World Cup qualifiers where Vietnam were in the final round and the only Southeast Asian team, everything has just completely switched in Southeast Asia. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're going down a path that I don't think we're going to reverse out of anytime soon.
Nope.
But getting back to the top 5 teams, I'll put timestamps so people can skip that entire thing. You got the Saudis at 5. I have them as my number 6. I have Iraq at 5.
Ooh, okay.
I think, obviously, the Iraq War and everything else that happened set the country back decades, set football back decades. But I think we're starting to see a resurgence. And something that I factored in a lot in this list was youth performance at Youth Asian Cups. Iraq are pretty good when it comes to youth tournaments. They're not Uzbekistan. They're not the Saudis. But since 2000, they have made the 6th most semifinals at all Youth Asian Cups, so all levels, U17, U20, U23s of all Asian countries. So that's pretty good. I think they've made the same, if not more than Iran. So like they're a formidable opponent at the youth level. And once you fall out of like that top 6, top 7, then you're talking about teams making it like twice or like 3 times. I think Iraq have made 8 semifinals since 2000. So pretty solid, pretty respectable. I think that they have a good mix of development, players actually developed in Iraq, but also a huge diaspora population, like we're seeing with the current team. A lot of these guys are playing in Europe. Some of these guys were born in Europe, and then recruited because they have like dual citizenship. I think 2 things are holding back Iraq from really taking that next step. One is something that may be fixed very soon, and that's more World Cup appearances. They've only made 1 in 86. I think for people to respect Iraq more, you have to see them more often. That applies to every single Asian team. It applies to it applies to Paraguay. It applies to Costa Rica. It applies to anybody who's trying to be taken seriously as a footballing nation. They need more World Cups, and they need more players going to Europe. I think a lot of times the young Iraqi players who show promise, same as the Saudis, same as the Iranians, they get stuck and they just stay in the Iraq League. But I think that was a lot due to political fallout. I actually think now that the situation's improving, I like to think some of the young studs that I saw at the Iraq U20s most recently, I like to think they'll move abroad and kind of find their own country. Like maybe Sweden that they end up going to is like the first step, or the Norwegian league. I mean, it doesn't matter. Just like get them over somewhere, make a pipeline. That's what I think. What are your thoughts on Iraq?
And also another thing that's holding them back is stability within the federation.
At the FA level? Oh,
At
yes.
FA level, yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, we talked about with the managers. It's just basically swipe left, swipe left, swipe left, swipe left. They go through managers all the time. But I hear the shout for Iraq, and I think with the dual NAS plus the local development, I think Iraq are going down a very good. Just the quality wise, I feel like it's just a little bit under par compared to Saudi Arabia when you're thinking about the youth performances in the Asian Cups. But I do hear the Iraqi shouts, and I think it's so important that they qualify to this World Cup. I think if they qualify to this World Cup, they're going to have a massive boom. I think then the national team will take even greater strides, and then they can consistently. They just need to be like an Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan now have kind of done all the baby steps, and now they're going to be a solidified national team in Asia for the next probably decade, 2 decades. I think Iraq can be the next Uzbekistan in having the good youth development while also consistently qualifying to the World Cup and performing well at the Asian Cup. But yeah, I do hear the good shot for Iraq.
So I actually checked my fact checker. Iraq have been to the same amount of semifinals as Saudi Arabia since 2000. That's pretty fire. You know, shockingly, Qatar's been to 5. Goddamn. And that was all the Afif generation. It's actually insane.
Of course it was Afif.
Oh, yeah. Like, yo, it's ridiculous. Dude, that's got to be one of the greatest generations in AFC history. That Qatar generation.
Oh, yes.
Just ridiculous. Since I filtered it since 2010. Since 2010, Saudi Arabia had been to more than Iraq. But since 2000, Iraq had been to the same amount. Also, last positive for Iraq, they're actually having a pretty good population boom right now. Part of that's the fact that everybody's like moving back to Iraq, but this is a large country. So yeah, shockingly to some people, if you have a large population and they really care and footy is a priority, it does open the door and the possibility to better footballers. And I think that's what we're going to see with Iraq as like the diaspora returns. So I think you should be excited, but you're right. They need the Karim Mitoma. They need the Sung Hyun Min. They need like that one Iraqi prospect who just blows the doors off. They need a Husanov or a Faisal. I mean, Uzbekistan's got 2 right now, maybe even 3.
Well,
so yeah,
Eldar
they need
Shmurdov,
that. Eldar Shmurdov. They need the guy that paves the way for everything. I mean, and it's not going to be Ayman Hussein. He's too old now. It's got to be like an Ali Jassim, and he still could do it, but he's got to start getting going like now.
And you made a very good idea that a lot of them, I think, because there's a lot of dual nats that play in Norway and Sweden, I think those are perfect development leagues. Because those 2 leagues, they're getting better and better. And if you have a lot of Iraqis playing in those leagues, they're going to develop into very good footballers. So I think that's one thing that Iraqis should be excited about. That they do have quite a few dual nats, I think, in the Swedish ranks and the Norwegian ranks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It's just got to... So got to get the snowball going down the mountain.
Just the one guy.
Why don't you give us number 4?
Number 4, then, I got South Korea. I think that's going to be
I got South Korea too at 4.
Yeah. So
okay, all right.
I think they will always consistently be in the top 5 for the next 3 decades. It's them and another team that I'm always going to be certified. They're going to be like the USA, Mexico, and Canada. Well, actually not Canada. USA and Mexico, where you just know they're going to produce talent. Because they just have such a good youth system. Since the 21st century, South Korea have certified them in being a good development nation where they have the good talents. And once they make that move to Europe, they stay in Europe for their entire career, unless like the later years they go back maybe to Saudi Arabia or they go to South Korea or other countries around Asia. But I look at their youth teams. They did quite well at the U20 World Cup, the last one, where they finished in, I think, fourth place, or they made it to the semifinals, if I'm not mistaken. And they were really competitive in that youth tournament. I remember watching it. Then I think the U20 Asian Cup, they made the semifinal, if I'm not mistaken. Wait. Yes, back-to-back semifinals, 2023, 2025. And then obviously you look at the young players they got, like Lee Kang-in and other guys. I think South Korea have a good future. Maybe it's not going to be like obviously 2002 World Cup making it to the semifinals, but still consistently qualifying for the World Cup, making it to the round of 16, and hopefully it could be the generation that finally win the Asian Cup. I think South Korea's still got a bright future.
I think the question for South Korea in terms of their future is not can they send players to Europe or make good players, because the answer is yes. They've proven that time and time again. It's can they replicate the superstars that they've produced? Can they replicate the Kim Min-jaes? Can they replicate the Sung Kyung-mins? Because if you compare them to Japan, they'll never be able to compete with Japan in terms of volume. But what they've had over Japan is the better players. They've sent the better individual players over to Europe. Japan just has like, I don't know, if we're going on a 10 scale, Korea sent like 2 or 3 10s or 9s over to Europe. Japan has sent like 10 8s and then like 100 7s and then like 300 6s and just like a bunch of players of like that magnitude. So they can't keep up with Japan in terms of depth. And we saw in round 3 of qualifying too, Japan's fielding a C team and they're beating Indonesia 6-0. Nobody else could do that. So they can't compete on depth. But if they can keep making the Lee Kang-ins, then I think they're going to be... I think Junho Bae looks like he's going to be a stud. I don't think he'll be Son level, but he looks like a very good footballer. That's going to be the key to success for Korea.
They could have that superstar. Oh my God, the Spurs guy. Young Min-hyuk? Is that the guy's name?
Min-hyuk. Yeah.
Min-hyuk.
Very good
Because
memory.
that guy, apparently he was a superstar in South Korea like at 18. And obviously Spurs signed him now. I don't know how he's going to be developed at Spurs with all the talent. So that's going to be a big issue. But he's only 19. So that could be another superstar. Like, Son didn't turn into Son until he was 25 years old. So there is time to be that superstar sort of player. But South Korea will keep producing the talent. There is no doubt about it.
Yeah. And because they are a proven commodity, their players get a little bit more time to mature. Versus a Saudi player, versus Ali Jassim for Iraq. Like, man, you better do something this year or probably back to the Middle East. Whether it's fair, it's not fair, but that's the reality.
It is a reality.
You want to go? Give me your third.
Is it the Socceroos for you?
It is the Socceroos for me.
Okay, I think we're gonna have the same talk.
Oh, geez, the rest of the list is the same. Okay,
it is the same. But look, they just won the U20 Asian Cup, and you said they played some good footy. So hopefully they play some good footy, because what I've seen from the Socceroos has not been good footy in the last couple of years. It's been kind of diabolical. But you look at their team. The Boss brothers. I think they're 21, 22. Studs. Those two guys. One plays for Mainz. The other one plays for Feyenoord. Just got signed by Feyenoord, who are going to play in the Champions League most likely if they qualify to the Champions League. Boss brothers. Irakunda making the move to Watford. I think that's a good move for Irakunda.
Yes.
The Toure guy. Toure just made the move to Randers in Denmark. Perfect. So I think they got good youth players. Maybe in like last couple of years, their youth teams haven't been the greatest. But maybe we're seeing like the next generation of Aussie players that can really solidify themselves into a starting 11 and play at high level in European football. It's not going to be like the golden generation from the early 2000s where, there were so many guys in the Premier League. But you can have those guys playing in the Serie A, like Sevkati, also another player who's like 21 playing for Parma. I think the Socceroos got a bright future, and they're actually going to play some decent football. Hey, I think if you're Aussie, you should be really excited about your future compared to what it's been for the past decade. I think the past decade, yes, you won the Asian Cup, but since then it's been like, okay, we qualified to the World Cup. Obviously, the last World Cup, you did really well to make it to round of 16, but even the Asian Cups have kind of been underwhelming. Now, slowly but surely, the expectations will be back for Australia with this new generation.
Yeah. And I think similar to South Korea, they actually do quite well at World Cups, I would say. Like, you look at a team like Iran, like they can't get out of the group. But if you look at like the superstars on Iran and Australia, Iran have better superstars. They have better star players, but they can't get it done. And Iran haven't won any Asian Cups either. In decades. In 4 decades, they haven't won. So it's been a long time. So I think how Australia performs at World Cups is actually underrated. They do
Yes.
beat European teams. They give Argentina an absolute scare in the round of 16. So they have the international exposure. Check. Very large diaspora / dual nat to recruit from, especially Scotland. Greece is another huge one. Basically, the entire UK. Wouldn't be surprised if it's Italy. I mean, Alessandro Cercati sounds pretty Italian to me. Check, you got that. So you have like the domestic Australians, then you have the ones abroad to recruit from, and you kind of build a team around that. You already have a pretty decent player movement to Europe. It's not on the same volume of Japan, but it's underrated. Like sometimes my Australian buddies, they talk like nobody gives a damn about them. And I'm like, dude, Jordan Boss just went to Feyenoord. Like people will buy Australians. Irakunda went to Bayern. Like you guys get
Didn't
player
Teague?
sales.
I think Teague just made the move to Europe as well.
Belgium. He went to. It begins with a W. Damn, help me out. Winthrop? That's not a team name.
No, that's a university in the States.
Yeah, hold on. He did not go to Winthrop University. What a signing that would have been for the college. Oh, I'm sorry. He went to KV Michelin. No, there was no W. Michelin. It was a V.
KV
he went
Michelin,
to Michelin.
Yeah.
There we go. Another good signing. Like, it's a myth. The belief that Australians don't go to Europe is a myth. So they got population size. They have players already abroad and in Europe. They have player sales to Europe. They are the most physically gifted country in the AFC. They're the best athletes in Asia. So at worst, they're going to beat you up even if you win with decent development. Their youth teams are not bad. They don't win very often. That's why when they won the U20s, that was like pretty rare. They don't win very often. But they don't get grouped that often either. They usually run into Japan, and shocker, they lose. Because Japan are freaking on one. They're cracked out at the youth level. That doesn't mean Australia suck. It just means they're just not quite on that level. So I think the future is pretty bright for Australia. And you look at this young team. If you look at this team, it's not very old. Like they have older players.
That's a credit though to Popovich, because Popovich has been bringing the youth recently in the last couple of windows. So I think got to give some credit to Popovich, because Graham Arnold was kind of like apprehensive on bringing in youth players because he had that steady 11. He just stuck with it. Now Popovich is kind of bringing the young players like Boss, like obviously Sirkati. We saw Teague. Yeah. Now I just want to see Irakunda, and please some Toure. This guy looks like a decent striker. He can start. He can start.
Yeah. No more Yangi. Mitchell Duke, thank you for your service. No. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for how the Australians are going to look going forward. I'm not surprised we both have them here. Okay, since we probably had the first top two, I'm going to throw a team at you. Jordan, bright future?
Bright future for 2 years. After that, the regression begins. And it might collapse like the Greek economy in the late 2000s. I can't lie. I don't think their youth teams have been doing so well. I didn't check that so much because you look at their team, very experienced guys, but they're all about like mid-20s. So when those guys slowly regress, and they're going to probably have this, they're going to be exactly like Chile, exactly like Iran. When this generation retire, the next generation, are they really? But they've been doing also calling up some dual nats. So maybe Jordan are going to use that approach as well, kind of similar to Iraq, and then have that sort of local development. Maybe Jordan, but bright future, I don't really see it. Great right now. The present, fantastic. Qualifying to the World Cup, next Asian Cup, there should be some expectation of again, making it far in the tournament. 2030, maybe it's like they're going to do that same thing. One last chance with this group of players. And if they don't qualify, they got to have a new process again. So the bright future, I wouldn't put them there.
I agree. I think Jordan is an amazing generation, maybe the best they've ever had. And while they do have some encouraging young players who I've seen when I watch the youth teams, I mean, how do you replace Al Naimat? How do you replace Al Tamari? How do you replace Al Arab in the back? Like, there's some very good players in this team. I mean, I know Ali Olawan's like 23, so he's like the youngest. Al Marty's 31, though. Like, a lot of their best players are in their prime right now. Al Rashdan, I think, is 27. it's going to be interesting whether they have to go to the dual nats to replace those guys or whether maybe they just do, have some younger guys we don't know about who sprout up. There was one winger, I can't remember his name now, but I was very impressed with him at the U20s. They got grouped though, but he looked like he was an impressive player. Yeah, Jordan, I'm cautiously watching them. I'm like, I hope this is a long story. Maybe that they're not here for a long time, just a good time. But I'm really enjoying this current crop.
Do you know, before we get to the top two, do you know which Middle Eastern team, the second Middle Eastern team that has the brightest future after Saudi Arabia?
It has to be, if my calculations are correct. Are you going to say Palestine?
It is Palestine.
Okay, break that down for me. Break that down for me.
I think Palestine, because a couple of their players are pretty young. Obviously, youth level wise, it's so difficult because of the situation going on and developing the players. So they just basically are going to have to rely on dual nats. Hey, some of the dual nats they've been calling up recently, they're good players and they're pretty young.
Yes.
And I look at the other Middle Eastern teams and I'm like, you're getting old. Like Oman will fall off. Maybe Kuwait, they could maybe kind of stay relevant, not so much.
Nah, bro, they got two guys. I
just look at Palestine and I'm like, I think they have a young team right now. They got the experience. They can take that next step. I honestly would not be shocked if they qualify to the next World Cup in 2030. I really wouldn't be. Look at some of where they're playing. Like Oday Dobbag was playing in Belgium and now went to Scotland. Like they have some quality players, and some of them are still pretty young. They're a much younger generation than I would say to Jordan. I think Palestine have a brighter future than a lot of the Middle Eastern teams, which is crazy to say because they cannot develop in their local leagues, unfortunately, with the situation going on. But maybe the Donats will carry this national team and fight with pride as well, as we know.
Yeah, they're 100% reliant on their diaspora to stay relevant. But I think their diaspora is quite good, as we've seen. I mean, guys like Wissam Ali, I'm so excited to see if that Columbus Crew transfer gets confirmed. I think he's going to cook in that league, man. What a signing. Adam Kaid, 23 years old. He's actually just went to Zamalek. So we had one Palestinian leave the Egyptian league, and then Adam Kaid came in.
Hey, that's not a bad league to go to. The best league in Africa, you could say.
Yeah. No, it's exciting. It's just I had them like as my other honorable mention because I'm like I really don't know what's gonna happen here. They will lose Al Batat soon. I think he's like 33 years old. Captain of the national team. Their goalkeeper, I can't remember their goalkeeper's name, but he's also quite old. I think he's like 35. So I think it's decently bright, but not like the sun beaming down on us.
It's more like a question mark because we don't really know what dual nats are out there. Also,
yeah, it's kind of impossible to know. But I do think I'm glad you shouted them out because I do think they deserve to be mentioned. I'm gonna guess you have Uzbekistan in second.
Yes.
Okay.
You break it down.
You want me to break it down? Okay. I think from the national team level, we see them improving. They've always been relevant in Asia, but now they finally got the monkey off their back of getting to the World Cup. I would not be surprised if they win one of the next 3 Asian Cups, and I think that has to be the objective for them. I think we're seeing more exports to Europe already. They kind of have like while other national teams are trying to get a foothold on the beach, right? We're storming Normandy. We need a foothold. The Uzbeks already have that. They already had Shomurdov in Italy for years. Now he's in Turkey, but Turkey's still not a bad league. Faisalayev has joined him now at the same Turkish club. You got Husanov in Man City after being one of the best CBs in France. There's probably more Uzbeks moving to Europe that I can't remember. Wasn't one of their players going to Belgium?
Orenboyev, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Orenboyev.
That's the name.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did he go to France or did he go to...
No, Antwerp in Belgium.
Antwerp. That's a banger transfer.
Yeah.
Damn, what a club to end up at a young age. That's incredible. So they already got the players over there, and then at the youth level, man, these guys are freaks.
Domination.
These guys are
domination,
freaks.
bro. That's what it's called. They're the Alabama of Asian football at the moment.
Dude, yeah. I know this is not what the video's about, but like Uzbekistan, Saudi Arabia youth clashes are like some of my favorite games to watch because they just like
Oh,
hate each other and they
oh,
go
especially
at
the
it
most
so
recent
hard.
one. The most recent
Oh
one with the
my!
U17, where Uzbekistan got the 2 red cards and somehow still won the game.
It's
One of the
still one.
wildest, one of the wildest games you're gonna ever see, people. I highly recommend it. Just entertainment wise, it was crazy. But yeah, I mean, look, Uzbekistan are a phenomenal team. Look at what they did in the last U17 World Cup. They beat England. Uzbekistan beat England in a
It's
U17
insane.
World Cup, people. And I think they lost to, I think it was France in the quarterfinal. And I think it was only 1-0 the game. This is Uzbekistan we're talking about against France and England, who are
Yeah.
developing world class players on a consistent basis. And now Uzbekistan are doing it. I mean, yeah, Faisalayev, Husanov. Oh, look, man. I think they had another player as well who was playing in Leganes, Mirzaev. I remember he scored against, oh, was it against England? Mirzaev scored against. So they got the young players in Europe. I think we're going to see more and more. And Husanov and Faisalayev and Smordov, of course, they're going to be those guys, the breakthrough players. Where now clubs are going to start respecting the Uzbek players and they're going to bring them into Europe, give them some time to develop. But they realize, oh no, these guys are techie. Oh no, these guys fight. Oh no, these guys actually have a good tactical understanding of the game. I think we're about to witness the golden generation and the golden wave of Uzbek football. And they will solidify themselves as a top 5 Asian team for the next 20 years. I think
Yeah.
we're at the beginning now. And in
Yeah. I think it's
maybe in 2 to 3 years, we're going to start seeing a bunch of YouTubers have a title of Rise of Uzbekistan Football.
yeah. Yeah. I can't wait for those videos. I think Uzbekistan's rise was inevitable. And
Yes.
now it's like the greatest fear of countries like Iran and the Saudis and Iraq have come to pass, where I think these guys are going to be the real deal forever because they just seem to have this endless pipeline of young players,
Crazy.
which a lot of them haven't even broken into the senior team because most of their senior team, they do have the Husnov, the Fazalev, the Uranov, who's 22, Erikinov as a substitute. They have some young guys in there, but for the most part, they're all like 25 to 30. I think Masharipov was like 29 as well. So kind of like a well-seasoned team for the most part, like Jordan. The difference is they also have all these young guys just waiting for their opportunity to break in. It's
They're
I mean,
salivating
obviously
in
the
the
country.
mouth to just make an appearance with the national team. They're waiting, bro.
Yeah, yeah, and like obviously they care. Obviously the country cares. I think that's the most important thing is they want to invest. They're building a new training center. Like they want Uzbek football to be taken seriously, and it will
Hey,
be in due time.
Uzbekistan, you guys, just make your shirts more available, okay? Thank you.
Oh my gosh! Like partner with Nike or something. Like just I
Partner with
want to be able to
DeadBall
get them over
TV.
here. Yeah, partner partner with I don't who's the biggest Finnish sporting manufacturer. Like I mean, I'm sure you guys
We don't really have
can
one.
make the connection. You don't really have one. We'll go with Marathon. They who make. Can you imagine they make Ecuador, Bolivia, and Uzbekistan? What a freaking lineup! Oh my god, that would be crazy. And I
That
would
would be
buy that.
fire.
I'd buy
Oh,
the whole
100%.
tracksuit. It would be honestly too much. And we have Japan as the team with the brightest
Yep.
future. Why don't you take this one?
I mean, the evidence is there for the last, 2 decades that they consistently perform youth level. They consistently produce players. They consistently produce players playing at a high level throughout Europe. Back in the day, it was like, wow, if one player got into the Bundesliga, it was amazing. Then we had the one player going to the Serie A, it was amazing. Now you got like 20 guys in the Bundesliga. You got like 20 guys in Ligue 1. You got a couple guys in the Premier League. You got a couple guys in La Liga. And it's only going to keep going and go. It's like the thing for the Japanese players is they don't really go like super young, like 18, 19. Obviously, you have the rare occasion like a Kubo, but most of them go like 20 to 21 years old. But when they go there, it's just their technical level is so superior to every nation in Asia that they just fit in like a glue to European football, and they're able to then perform at a consistent basis. So, yeah, I mean, there's not much to say with Japan. I think they will still stay at the mountaintop until like Uzbekistan or South Korea have a crazy, crazy generation. And we look at them youth level wise, we're like, wow, maybe they won like the U20 World Cup or U17 World Cup. We're like, hey, these guys might be the real deal. Until that happens, Japan will stay relevant and stay at the number 1 spot.
I do wonder if with guys like Kota Takai going to Spurs at
Mm,
20 years old, I do wonder if that trend's gonna continue. That was a $5 million transfer too. That's big money for the J League.
yeah.
Like usually they sell for like 2 mil. It's insane
Well,
how cheap Japanese players are.
Zion Suzuki, how old is he? 22, 23? Starting for Parma in Serie A. So you're getting some more
Yeah.
trust with these young players.
Yeah. We're now seeing like Japanese players replace each other at clubs. Like Ritsu Doan's probably going to leave Freiburg, and they just signed the other Suzuki, not related to Zion. Yuito Suzuki, I think is his first name. He's coming in after cooking in Sweden, I think, for 2 years. So now it's like we're just having Japanese players replace each other. What is also missing is the Sung Mins.
Yep.
Is the world class, like no argument that guy's a world class player. You have Mitoma, who some will argue for, but it's kind of hard to call somebody world class when they're getting me like 10-6 at Brighton, right? With all due respect, that's just not enough to be like this guy is definitely world class. He's an amazing player, but that's what they need next. They need the center back who wins Serie A Defender of the Year, like Kim Min Jae, and it ain't gonna be Itakura. So it's got to be somebody else who comes in and does that. Maybe it'll be Kota Takai. I don't know, but I mean, do you agree? Do you think that's what they're? Do you think that is like what is the next step if there is one?
I was gonna ask you. Yeah, I think they need a world class player. What player in the history do you think has been the closest to getting to that stage for a Japanese player? Do you think it's like Shinji Kagawa or Kazuko Honda? Do you think those were the two closest?
I mean, Keisuke Honda's my guy, man. I'm so
I
biased
know
towards
he's
that
your
man.
guy.
So I would say, so anecdotally, I would say absolutely. Because I don't think as good as Nagatomo was, I don't think he ever had that shout. Maya Yoshida was a Premier League player, but nobody thought he was world class because he wasn't world class. Maybe you can go to like Hidetoshi, maybe because he was a beast for like 7 years.
I was thinking Shinji Kagawa when he was at Dortmund. I honestly thought he was close to being a world class player. I thought he was unbelievable in that Dortmund team. That for me is the closest a Japanese player has gotten to like world class status, but he didn't maintain it. Then he made the move to Manchester United, started to fall off. Whereas Sung Heung-min, Kim Min Jae, obviously Kim Min Jae had that one fabulous season with Napoli, but Sung Heung-min was like 4 or 5 years just unbelievable in the Premier League. Japan just need that sort of player. Like Mitoma, good player. Kubo, really good player. Like they have so many good players. Like Wataru Endo, like so many good players. But they're just 7 out of 10 players. They need that 9 out of 10 player. They need that 10 out of 10 player on their team. You know what they need? They need somebody similar to Salah for Egypt. They just need that one world-class player. That's all that's missing for Japan. And maybe when that world-class player appears, then other players will get the confidence like, hey, you know what? We can do this, guys. We can actually be that world-class player. We can get the Ballon d'Or shouts. Like, has there ever been a Ballon d'Or shout for a Japanese player? Guys, let me know in the comments. Has there ever been? Because I would love to know.
I think when Hidetoshi was at Roma,
Yeah, Roma.
I think he was a top 30 nominee, top 25 nominee one season. Nobody's ever broken top 10, but he was nominated in that one. I think he was at I don't know if it was Roma. I think it was when he was at a smaller. Was it Parma? I don't remember all the clubs he played for.
It must have been AS Roma though, because he won the league with AS Roma. Okay,
maybe it was. I mean, it's either Parma. That or he went to Fiorentina too, but it definitely was not with Fiorentina. I agree, and like going back to Sung Heung-min, he was so good for so long that eventually you couldn't not call him world class. That was the problem, I think, with Kagawa, where you're having like 3 years of like excellent play, but is that enough to be considered world class, especially from a nation that's never had a world class player before, right? You almost have to do like extra credit on the test if you're going to be the first one. Like Salah's greatness was so good you can't ignore it. Same with Sung Heung-min. You cannot ignore top goal scorer in the Premier League. Like that's insane. You can't ignore top 20 all-time in assists. That's insane. We haven't seen that with the Japanese players specifically. Do you think Kubo or Mitoma is closer?
Mitoma, the train is gone. He should have had that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if he was going to reach that level. Kubo is the only hope right now, I think, for Japan if they want to get to that world-class status. And, he's still young, and maybe he just needs to move to a better scenario compared to Real Sociedad that is the sinking ship there. Maybe that's what Kubo needs. He needs a move, better club, and maybe then his output will be better. And maybe people will be talking, because people know about Kubo, but they're not tuning into Kubo. People would tune in to watch Son Heung-min because he was at a world-class team and he was putting up world-class performances. I think Kubo is the closest, but I still don't think Kubo is going to ever reach Son Heung-min levels. I don't think it will ever happen.
I would say the opposite. I would say Mitoma is closer to world class than Kubo. But Mitoma playing at Brighton is what is preventing him. Mm-hmm. Like, unless he is clearly Brighton's player of the season, he unfortunately has to go somewhere where like his usage rate is higher and he's got better numbers. Like Kagawa, this is a thing with Japanese players, and you already said this. They don't really carry their teams that often. You don't look at them and you're like, he put them on their back. Like Egang in at Mallorca. I mean, Egang in maybe has a shout to be world class. I think he's got to leave PSG, but like he carried a terrible La Liga side for an entire year. And even the year before when Kubo was there, he was better than Kubo. So that's what you got to see more often from these players. I think maybe the closest one, hear me out, maybe Daichi Kamada with Frankfurt.
I think that was more of a team effort than Glasner being an OG manager. Because then they still had Borge, they still had Daichi Kamada, they had a lot of good, Ndika, who is now at AS Roma. Like Frankfurt had a really good team there. So I mean, Daichi Kamada was unbelievable for Frankfurt in that Europa League. Carey, no, I wouldn't say that.
That's too strong.
It was too strong. To be honest, I think Zion Suzuki did really well with Parma this season. He really saved them in a couple of games that I was watching Parma. I was like, wow, Zion, you have developed into an excellent goalkeeper. I'm shocked compared to what I saw at the Asian Cup. So, to be honest, that's like the closest I would say for this season is Zion Suzuki of any Japanese player.
Can you imagine if Japan's first world-class player is a goalkeeper?
Wow.
The position that has cursed Japan the most over the years outside of the striker. That would be like double bonus points for that achievement.
Yeah. That'd be crazy.
Zion Suzuki world-class. That would be crazy.
Yeah. I think he could get there, to be honest.
The other one I'm looking at is the other Suzuki, ironically, at Freiburg. I think he's 22 now. I'm just saying, man, if he gets me 13-4 next season for Freiburg, just put him on the watch list. I'm not saying he's world class.
Okay.
I'm just saying, the Mark Cuban meme to just write something down. That's all we're gonna do. Just highlight the name, move on. We'll check back in 2 years. I'm really excited to see what he does. Kota Sakai, huge ceiling, but he's not gonna play.
Yeah,
he's not going to play.
He's probably going to get the same, go on loan to QPR for a season or two.
Oh, I just shuddered a little bit when you said that. God.
I mean, that's what's going to happen, though. He's not going to start at Tottenham. He's just going to be a partner with Danso, maybe. Maybe.
Do you think Japan's cultural focus on group versus individual is why they haven't had a world-class player?
Yes. I do agree with that. I feel like because there's such, it's culturally that they do everything as a unit and we build as one. But you gotta have that sort of individual magic about you. You gotta have that sort of arrogance. They need an arrogant player. I wouldn't say Son Heung-min is really an arrogant player, but he kind of plays like it. They need that sort of player that plays with an arrogance about him.
I would say Lee Gang-in is.
Yeah,
I would say Lee Gang-in is an arrogant character, footballer.
Mitoma is
in a good way. No.
You know what? Kubo is kinda is. He's got that mean streak about him, Kubo.
Yeah.
But I think that's because he's been in Spain for so long. He's kind of developed that Spanish side to him. So
he's
probably
the least culturally Japanese guy is the biggest asshole on the team. Coincidence? I don't know.
Maybe Zion Suzuki could be that as well. But yeah, I think that's what they kind of need. They just need that more arrogant side to them where you got to show it a little bit. Maybe that's what they need. I don't know what the answer will be for Japan. Eventually, something magical is going to happen, and they're going to get that world-class player, and he's going to be top 20 in Ballon d'Or. We just don't know which player that is. Maybe he still hasn't shown his true talents yet anywhere in Europe or even in Japan. But that player will soon arrive. It will happen eventually.
Yeah, it will. And it'll be a great day. I mean, every time the AFC gets a world-class player, like, that's it. Can you imagine when we're going to get, like, a Saudi world-class player? Or, like, Australia's never had a world-class player, but they've had, like,
Harry Kewell was pretty close. Tim Cahill was pretty close, I would say. Those two guys were unbelievable. Mark Schwarzer was unbelievable, too.
Yeah, I was thinking Cahill.
Viduka.
I wouldn't call him world-class. Viduka,
He was close,
Mark
though.
Viduka, yeah. Yeah, they were close. They were close. Very, very, I would say elite players. World-class. We'll have to get some Aussies on to talk about that. I don't know. I don't know if they consider them world-class, actually. Maybe they're humble about it.
Let's see.
I mean, Americans think Tim Howard was world-class. I don't know if you...
Hey, at that 2014 World Cup, I would say world-class, bro. I thought he was the GOAT.
Hey, dude, Secretary of Defense. Never forget the Belgium game, which the U.S. eventually lost, but still, what a performance, man. That's crazy.
What was it, 13 saves or something?
16.
16?
16 saves, yeah.
I remember that one save he made. I think it was an extra time on KDB with his foot. I was like, no, stop it, bro. This is too much here.
Turn off the game, dude. This is too much.
Turn off the game.
Do you think, last question, do you think a Japanese or Uzbek will be world-class first?
I was going to ask you that. I was thinking in my head. I was like, okay, which one should I ask? I would still go with Japan.
Indonesian or Japanese? No, I'm kidding.
Indonesian, Japanese. I would probably go with Japan still, just because of the numbers. Uzbek got still a couple players in Europe and Asia that are good, but Japan just got so much volume that one of them, if they can just have a breakthrough at a big club, they can go places. They can do. So I would give it to Japan still.
I agree. You guys let us know down below in the comments. Those are your top 5 brightest futures and a whole bunch of other stuff in this video. We hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button. And again, we're going to be dropping a lot more videos like this, talking about Asian footy, talking about round 4, round 5, the World Cup, Asian Cup qualifiers, Asian transfers, Asian players, world class or not, on both of our channels. So make sure you're subscribed to DeadBall TV and Michael Talks Football. And also follow us on social media. The links for everything will be down below in the description. Again, we appreciate you guys for watching or listening, and we'll see y'all in the next one.